Got new gods and goddesses, kings and queens. Got new. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Something is up. Something is up. Gods and goddesses. Oh no, what's going on? All right, all right. So hopefully, this is it right here, and I could be heard. I don't see my actual mic like normally I do. My mic talking like I'm talking. I might have to end this and start over. But then again, I should be on. I should be on. Wanted it on the headphones. I didn't want it on the iPhone. Right. All right. So being ignorant of Black history, and not just Black history, but African history, does a lot to our community, and it does a lot of harm. I'm seeing this right now, and because of ignorance, a lot of people tend to feel certain ways and get emotional, and a lot of fights start because people are ignorant of the history. Let me see if matter of fact, let me do this real quick. Let me double check, make sure. So let me make double check and make sure that I'm live. Bam, bam. All right. So let me make double check and make sure that I'm live. Bam. All right. So yes, it's going through. And part of that, if you listen to the lives that I do, right? If we actually expand our thoughts more into psychology, we can understand, or just in different points, and actually do reading, because you'll get to a point to where you really could open your mind to other perspectives. And then when you start looking at other perspectives and be like, that's the white man knowledge, man. It's crazy that here I am. I'm Black Power banging, and people like to bring up the white man knowledge. The white man got you brainwashed, and look, we can't blame everything on white people. Like, let's stop that. How about we actually read, and then, okay, white people lie in history. All right, we understand that they lie. We know that. But Amos N. Wilson, and this is one of the brothers like to talk about Amos. Oh, famous Amos Cookies. But Amos N. Wilson said the fact that you know it is a lie is information, and it's intelligent, and it could be used. How did they lie? For what reason did they lie? All this stuff give off information. It's still information, right? So, and then if they are lying about their history coming to the United States and conquering it, okay, cool. Well, let's look at that lie. What's the trajectory of the lie? Will they be able to do what they're doing today if what they said in the past was a lie, right? Or how about this though? Understanding, because even understanding history, period, really. But I said Black history specifically because of a particular conversation I'm going to get to. But understanding the lie itself, and then why they didn't lie about the things that you say is true. Where's those lies? Where's the lie when you said that this is the United States is the greatest place and this and that? Where's all the lies about the U.S. then? Why is nobody lying about the U.S. before the Europeans? We got to really think about things like that, because the United States before the Europeans, nobody lied about. There's not much information. It's just like it's not like we talking about China, Iran, Iraq. It's not like we're talking about Europe, you know. But then people want to misconstrue history and put the Moors originated in the Americas. That's beyond me. I was talking to a sister last night. Boom, me and Scooter, after we got off the live, bam, jumped on the phone. And then One of his homeboys jumped on, intelligent brother. Bang! I wish you could get him up on here so y'all can actually get a bar of the intelligence of this brother. You know what I mean? I believe from 6-0. Feel me? So there's brothers amongst us, Bloods and Crips, that understand the information. We just gotta get them to put it out. But anyway, so the brother jumped on. He was on point. A sister jumped on. She has contention with the way black males operate. Understandable. And this is one of the things that I was saying that we need to fix. We gotta start winning in the minds of our sisters again. Like we're losing in the minds of our sisters. So I can't disagree with her when it comes to that. You know what I mean? But the disagreement came in when she said black women couldn't even work back in the day. I'm like, what? I'm like, for you to say that black women could not have a job back in the day is not true. The black woman has always worked. She had always had a job. She had always been one of the ones that had to do, even when it was came to raising children. She had to raise other people's children and breastfeed other people's children. To say that black women didn't have work, this is also goes back in to understanding black history. What the hell? All right. So understanding black history, and then it got to a point where they was like, okay, well, what she was able to go get a job at a grocery store? Well, we gotta. I can't necessarily answer that. I don't know that answer. See, yeah, my cousin jumped in. See, you don't know. I said, well, you gotta understand this, cause and she felt some type of way when I said I know more about Black history than my mother. Um, it's the truth. I spend my time and I spend a lot of my youth learning Black history. My mother spent her youth raising us, not going through books. That's not what my mother do. You know what I mean? That's like my great grandfather. I tell you, I could read better than my great grandfather. My great grandfather didn't know how to read, but he memorized the Bible by listening to it. He memorized the whole book by listening to it. And by me saying this, it's not saying a lack of intelligence, because she doubled back saying that you said your mother didn't know shit. I never said my mother didn't know shit. I said I know Black history better than my mother. I also know Black history better than my father. Matter of fact, I know more about about our family connection on my father's side than my father, or just as much. Yeah, my father know cousins and could point people out, but when it comes to going back in history, you came from where and what, I was actually teaching my father. I go through these conversations. I have these conversations often. So for a person to tell me that's no, you don't. No, you don't. You just don't know and don't understand. And that's not saying that my mother and father didn't put their time and attention elsewhere. So there's a large part of our society that wasn't concerned about history. We was too busy in the struggle. Now, there's and also knowing the history help prevent things like us talking about we're foundational Black American and we don't like the immigrants and we better than the Haitian, we better than the Jamaican. Look, I'm an African American. I'm down with Pan Africanism. I'm not FBA. FBA is it's a it's a group, right? FBA is a group, not a lineage. It's a group. You feel me? So it's a group of people with a certain set mindset and a thought, just like those that call themselves Aboriginal. It's a thought. It's a mindset. It's not an actual thing. There's not an actual. They don't have a place in history. So if you go be pre 2019, or I would even say 2016, because I think that's the earliest Dan Calloway came out, because he's the grandfather of Aboriginals. I would even say that Aboriginals is a branch. I mean, FBA is a branch off of the Aboriginal, the Wabos. I'm gonna say Wabo, so we know exactly what I'm talking about. People hear Aboriginals, they think that I'm talking about the Australian. We talking about the Negro Aboriginal, right? The Negro Aboriginal of America. You know what I mean? The let me see, in the Nas, yeah, the Nah. Yeah, I'm talking about the NAAs. And we not talking about African American. Yeah, matter of fact, that just goes. The Negro Aboriginal, also the not African American. You feel me? So yeah, we talk about the Nas. Um, so to all the Nas, and the Nas are wrapped up basically with those that consider themselves Aboriginal American and FBA. These are the people that's not African American. The Nas, all of them, they're the Nah tribe. Anyway, that's what they are now. Wabo, Nah tribe, and we got to stop using Wabo because the Native Americans start using it, and now they considering it to be racial. And if you knew history, I created the term, so now I'm gonna call them the Nas. But anyway, so all the NAAs, the Nas, those people don't understand history. Just even for the United States of America, when we talk about the United States of America, Haitians are responsible for a lot of what the U.S. got going. Thank you to the Haitians. You know what I mean? My ancestors, the Haitians, and that that actually went and fought and helped freed a lot of the U.S. and what the U.S. got cracking. What the hell? I'm looking for, trying to find. Oh, that's plugged into there. Oh, I can't find my other charger. It's okay. I gotta wait. But anyway, Jamaicans came to the United States, had children, and added to the population, the African American population. Haitians came here, added to the African American population. My brothers and sisters from the motherland came here and added to the African American population. So these Africans are worldwide people that came here and added to the population. Now, if we want to talk about historically, we start talking about a people who can't add to their culture or build their homeland. That is a foolish thing to say. That's a foolish thing to say because if we was to take Europeans out of the picture, how much building would actually go on here in the United States? I mean, these cats are still bragging about dirt hills, like it was so sophisticated to build a dirt hill. The, uh, if you actually talk to some of these people, in the beginning, they were saying Harriet Tubman didn't exist. Nat Turner didn't exist. African Americans wasn't enslaved. They were saying that the Aboriginal Negroes, Americans, not African Americans, those people, enslaved Europeans here in America. They brought them over here as slaves. This is what they were saying. They were saying the Mississippi River is the Nile River. Egypt is really in America. They were saying that they populated Africa. The United States of America was the first out of water. DNA is fake. It's for entertainment purposes only. But then they'll double back and start talking about the contributions that African Americans had in history. And some of the things that they want that when you look at the contributions, the things that we have done, they also argue against those things that we done as being fake. See, these are the things that is beyond me. I really don't get. And even when it comes to when we're talking about history, let's go back to the black woman was in the plantation. They didn't want to count that as working, right? Yeah, we was work. It's considered work. It falls under work. We was working for free. So I went and looked up an article that a sister wrote, and she was asking, where did you get that from? Did you Google it or is it in the book? Well, what does it matter? Is the information wrong where it came from? It don't matter where it came from. And then I said, here, this is the author's name. Gave you the author's name. No, I want to know where you got it from. I got it from this author. But where did you find it? What does it matter where I find it? Did a white person write that? Okay. No, a sister wrote it. This is her name. I gave you the author. Look up the author and tell me if the author is credible or not. When it comes to research, a lot of us are not good at research. So my folks like to discredit Dr. Amos N. Wilson just because he don't know about him. And then he want to go to other people that don't read, and because they don't know about him, see, don't nobody know about him. We all in the hood, don't nobody know about him. So they think that proves his point. I also spoke on Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, Chancellor Williams. I'll start bringing out names. Sister Frances Cress Wilson. Y'all know any of these people he talking about? Nah, I don't know those people. See, don't nobody know those people. Cause I know about the homie, Woochie Wham that grow weed. Like, what? No, really said this. Really said this. I know about a person that grows weed, bomb weed. This is what he said. And I'm saying to myself, that is ignorance. And I guess we really don't understand the term ignorant and how we understand that we're ignorant of our history. It's an actual word. And we don't like to use English. Well, we don't use English like that. Well, the reason why I was using English how it's supposed to be used, because we have a communication issue, right? Well, I'm communicating Black history and you don't know Black history. Then I'm bringing out scholars. Scholars. One of the guys didn't even go to college and was accredited a doctorate or something like that. You know what I mean? For the work that he done, the study that he done. And then say, oh, well, this information is not real because white people actually wrote things. For example, they have white people write about Isanawana. But everywhere you see Isanawana, you see Yorkshire Drift. Then the reason why you'll see those two together is because one of them was a loss and one was a victory. And yes, they tell the histories in such a ways like, oh, the body count was a little on our side and a lot on their side. So when they are counting the body, they also count the bodies of the traders that was from over there. Like, well, this person is technically Zulu, they died in the battle, so this how many Zulus died, right? And Isanawana was a victory of the Zulus over the British. For those that didn't know, just put that out there. And they won with spears and things of that nature under Kosi Quechua. But yeah. So the thing is this: when they don't count the traders that teamed up with them as part of their body count, they don't. You know what I mean? They really don't even care about them. You know. So when we actually sit here and we start to go through history, we understand that people lie. People are going to embellish the truth. People are going to make it seem like they was the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's understand. We know that, but you still have to be able to read between the lines, right? And a lot of people will say read between the lines, and when they mean read between the lines is that you got to be able to understand and know when things are being left out or things are being added, because there's information between this line of words and characters and there's in this line of words and characters. There's still history in between each line you read in the book. There's still history in between that, no matter who wrote it, black or white, right? Because Even when our scholars write things, doesn't mean they got everything. There's still things they miss, and there's still things that they wrote that was written then that we may have to correct, and we may have to correct it because there's new information. For example, a lot of time when Dr. Ben was doing the studying, DNA wasn't as advanced as it is today. So now we have DNA to add to our history. We can utilize that. And even with that, when it comes to DNA, how we can utilize that to help correct our history. And we can utilize that to bust open some lies. Because how are you going to lie about history, then lie about DNA, then say you was here, will show your DNA in this place you say you was, right? It'll work for us, and it'll also work against us. Okay, bam, we got that wrong. That wasn't us. Now they doing DNA on these mummies. Okay, boom. Oh, you can't do DNA on dead bodies. Well, hold on. What? Like, we gotta start reading things more. We got to start. We got to start having focus and be able to focus on things. Like, let's pick a subject and focus on it. Now, I think Black history is that thing that we should focus on. At first, I really, until the conversation and thinking about the conversations, that we just need to focus on our history. Forget trying to make money. Work on saving the money you already got. But focus on understanding where we came from, what happened to us, how did we get here. Read your history of your family, your personal history. Where did your grandfather work? Where did your great grandfather work? Get as much as you can about them. And once you get this, write it down. Write a book, a family book. And the book is going to be here, there, this, and that. But write down, today I was studying, a journal of your studies. Because when we going through this history, man, it's just so much. Like, I read something by Amos, right? And this brother is so profound, and I bring him up a lot because is he always seemed to have something that fit in context. Matter of fact, when I get home today, I'm gonna purchase all of his books again. I'm gonna purchase Blueprint for Black Power again, and all the rest of his books. And one of his books I cannot find, that I was reading. I cannot find it. Lost it. But I'm gonna purchase all his books and all his audio tapes, all his CD, everything on CD. I want all of it. I want them all. I want it all. Even if I got it, I want it. You feel me? But anyway, I say that to say this. When it comes to history, we got to take it serious. I mentioned Crips and Bloods, and it was the last live I did. It was talking about Crips and Bloods, and I say, in our community, Crips and Bloods are responsible for the majority of the crime. And, right? My homeboy, and this is where listening comes in too as well. You say all the crime. That would be foolish for me to say all the crime. It would be foolish because a hit and run is a crime, and if it was somebody that wasn't a Crip of Blood that did it, then just that right there discredit the statement itself. You feel me? Police officers that don't live in the community, that's not from the community, also do crime. They plant drugs on people. That's criminal activity. It's stories of them taking homies to dropping them off in other places, yelling out the hood. You know what I mean? Or taking homies to empty schools and beating them up. Empty parks are abandoned places, beating them up. Lots, yeah. Those stories, that's a crime. So for me to say that all the crime is foolish and say that, yeah, that's what you meant. Don't say what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant, right? And this goes back into communication when we communicate. Do you understand the history of Crips and Bloods? Because if you understood the history, this is black history, because Crip and Bloods, I feel that Crip and Bloods uh, give black history a black eye, right? They give black history a black eye. And it's because of the time of us struggling. If you read through our history, we were struggling. We was trying to get from up under the thumb of the European. We wanted to get free work, freedom, and be able to work and save our money the way we do it and capitalize off our own labor. This is what we wanted in the United States. And that's what our history tells us. You know what I don't see in our history? We don't hear about slaves leaving this plantation, going to that plantation to go ride on other slaves. Enslaved, excuse me, enslaved Africans going to go ride on other enslaved Africans. We don't see that. We don't hear about that. We don't hear about freedmen going back to the plantation to ride on enslaved Africans. We don't hear about them riding past the plantation like, yeah, haha, stopping on the side of the road like, man, I see you Negro out here working hard. Yeah, you know me. It's free. Yeah, y'all wish y'all had it like me. We don't see that. We don't hear about that. Bragging about his freedom while they still say we don't hear about that. We don't hear about after 1865 communities of African Americans fighting each other. We don't hear about that. But as we get up into Crips and Bloods, we hear about the drive-bys and us going through other communities, damaging other communities, shooting up funerals, shooting up parties. We hear about that, right? This is why I say it's a black eye to black history. Then, as we talking about black history and how we could, the things we need to do to heal this black eye, and that's where I like to go. I would like to point out things that's an issue, and now let's talk about what we could do about this issue. They jump to issues with the Mexicans do it, the whites do it, the Samoans do it, the Arabs do it, the hold on. Why are we jumping to all this? That doesn't make a sense to jump over there. We talking about this issue. You act like we the only ones have this issue. Never said we the only ones that had this issue. Didn't even use the term only. Phrase only. And then when I say something in context of the conversation, you want to take it out of context and put it somewhere else. That's also understanding history is understanding context. I mentioned understand not just black history because it's part of black history. Even when you talk about feminism, mention feminism was started by white women. Feminism wasn't a black woman's argument. African American women didn't argue about feminism and the right to be equal to men. She wasn't arguing that. It wasn't an argument. She joined that argument because the white woman wanted to make it about woman suffrage, make it about woman, and then brung her in. And but framed it as in, look, the rights, we fighting for the rights. And at this time we was fighting for rights. So half of us left the fight for us having rights to women having rights, and then women left the family to go fight for self. Not all, some. So once that happened, And then look at the direction from feminism down to where it came. Then I start mentioning like Section 8 and things of that nature. And what you start mentioning that ain't it. That is also this system from there and having rights and all that. They didn't say, and she even let me finish. They didn't say, here go a job, here go a better place in the workforce to where you don't need this. No, they gave this and then prevented this, us being in a household, us actually being a family and destroying our family units. So it wasn't our sisters fighting to get away from us. That wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. So we start talking about history. Let's go into history again. My folks said instead of talking about actual history of how Crips and Bloods is gonna give us a black eye and the history of where we came from, just the history of us. 70,000 people missing. He said just in the South, 5 states. So he mentioned 5 states. Because when he mentioned the Republic of New Africa, that's 5 states. So he mentioned 70,000 people missing within 5 states. I said, okay. I said, he told me that's what I should be worried about. I should not be worried about Crips, but I should be worried about those 70,000 people missing. So, let's get on that. If that, because those people missing is also a part of Black history, right? He tell me that that's something I should be worried about. That's something that's in his mind, right? But I should be worried about it. But it's in his mind. I asked him to give me some of the names of the people that's missing. Eventually, he ended up throwing 2 names out there. I said, okay, how old are they? And he said, see, that goes to show how much you know. I just pulled those names out of my ass. Those are made up some names. Either way, proves my point. You telling me to worry about something that you're not even worried about. Man, I'm gonna have to do a reaction to my own podcast. 5 hours to chop this up. But now understand this. When I start mentioning us in the history, when we're not even worried about our own history, and somebody is bring up issues that's in our history and making the issues a conversation to try to deter the conversation to something that you think it should be about, like the other hump say, well, it's the Aboriginal Smith. Well, what about abortion? More people die from abortion. And okay, you kept bringing up abortion. You say, well, all the people die from Crips and blood. No, more Black people die from abortion. You say that we need more people, and we should be. Hold on. You conflating the argument, right? I'm not talking about us just needing more people, and it's not even the fact that the take place. It's the reason for it. What is the reason? Historically, when we start talking historically, what is the reasons that we did it back in the day? What are the reasons we do it now? I can guarantee you that those reasons change. Guarantee. Those reasons change. The reasons are not the same. Guaranteed. Now, at one point in time, it's because they had on red. They had on blue. That was a reason. Because of clothing. That was a reason. Then it got to a point to where people in our community stopped wearing these colors. And then what ended up happening? Crips and Bloods went on to other colors. Green, orange, turquoise, sky blue. It got to, what the fuck are we supposed to wear then? And then we start historically, Crips and Bloods start to congregate at parks. Now children can't go to parks. We need to get it to where children could have a place to go within our city. I remember that a lot of things used to happen in the alley, not on Front Street, in the alley where it can't be seen. There was a lot of hanging out in the alleys. Everybody hung out in the alley, right? The alley moved from being and pretty much, and as a child, I remember I had to run in the house because gunshots was taking place broad daylight. They was at night for a minute. All the children, everybody was in the house. Bullets still ripped through houses, hitting the innocent. Some children dying in their bed. Historically, this has happened. Then it was brought up that you can't change the past. If you can, go show me. But then this intelligent brother, my cousin went and got this intelligent brother by the name of Bang, that basically reiterated, but he didn't even hear me say this. I was like, well, Malcolm X said, if you don't know your past, you'll repeat your future, things of that nature. He said, you got to know your past in order to prevent it. You got to know the things that are going to prevent it from future. Thank you. Because the fact that it kept saying, forget the past, only focus on the positive things in our community, doesn't mean that we are going to fix what's wrong in our community. You only focus on the negative. You only focus on the negative. It's me focusing on what's broken so we can figure out how to fix it. And then I also, you only want to make it about yourself. It's about your own accolades. It's about you. It's only about you. Well, you have personal attacks on personally me. Talking about the things that I haven't done in the past to try to heal the black eye that we have in black history. So I start showing you things that I have done, things that was actually caught on camera. Historically, I was showing you these things. Then try to pick something out and try to throw it under the bus like I was going to be not affected by that. I'm pretty much surpassed that. So we go from talking about history, we go from talking about us and a issue, and then it start focusing on me as a people boy. You know, if we understood history, we'd do that less. We understood black history. We'd do that less. Stop focusing on the individual and start focusing on the actual situation at hand. We'll do that more. We'll start doing that more. Focus on the actual situation. Yeah, I just want to put that out there for us to know black history. Matter of fact, I should have been did this just in case some people wanted to come up. People been popping in and out. We put that in there just in case. Uh, yeah, understanding black history is very important for us to be able to do things in the future. Crips and Bloods, if they understood black history, a lot of what they'll be fighting. Matter of fact, I really do believe if Crip and Blood actually focused on black history, that they would become the Panthers. Yeah, yeah. They would be more inclined to be beneficial to our community. If you learn your family history, you'll find out that a lot of these people in these other hoods is your actual family. Feel me? Like, damn, I didn't know that was my cousin. I didn't know that was my, yeah, all that. If you learn the history of a city, you might not, or the history of a name, the name you represent, you might not be so inclined to get it tattooed on your body. Learn the history of that name. Like, I thought Hoover was named after J. Edgar Hoover, but no, my cousin corrected me, said Herbert Hoover. But you know what? Hell, who says they not family? It's still the Hoover family, right? So the fact that these men that are outside of you willing to tat their name on your body and go destroy the people that these men want to destroy in history. It's crazy work. That is crazy work. We talk about the layout of the streets of Los Angeles. We didn't lay those streets out. We didn't be like, oh man, this and that. So we banged streets that was put there, and then we have such a pride on where we used to live. A lot of us don't even live in the houses that we grew up in our hood. A lot of us moved on. And like the city of Compton, it was a European city. Uh, Griffin, Griffin, Dixon, Compton is his name. 1888, the city was incorporated. But him and I think he said 30 families came and settled that area. Moving out west. That was originally Mexico. All that was Mexico. Conquered by the Spanish. That's why you got San Juan Capistrano, San Diego, El Clemente. You listen to these names, right? These names of these cities. Yeah, you got other stuff mixed up in there. You even got things from the Native Americans mixed up in there. You got things from the Europeans mixed up in there. But it's historically Mexico. This is why I wouldn't fight a Mexican trying to take California from them. I believe we should give it back to them. And us as a people should want them to have it back. The rest of the United States, Native Americans, they should have their land back. I don't know if how strong their population is, but you look at people talking about the Mexicans, a lot of them Native Americans. And the Mexicans are Native Americans. And even though their bloodline is heavily tainted with the Spaniards, and a lot of people within their community hug towards the Spaniard side, it's outside of my jurisdiction. But what is considered to be the Republic of New Africa is what we should hold on to, is where our largest population is, and that's what we should be on. I mentioned that, right? The Republic of New Africa. Historically, to go back in history, brothers and sisters, we're starting that for a reason. Historically, a brother came with a flag and said a people without a flag is not a people. Came with a flag. Historically. They don't want to acknowledge that, but then they acknowledge they hood. My hood. This is our territory. Well, you acknowledge that as to be true. But when we claim something to be this, that's not real. But a Crip in the Blood neighborhood is real territory, but the Republic, okay, I got you. Sound good. Sound good. Man, we don't understand how we neutralize throughout history. A lot of times we neutralize ourselves. We aided those outside of us to neutralize us. Historically, we have done this. And by these conversations I'm having, I can see that mentality is not going to stop anytime soon. It's not going to stop. Us changing history is knowing history, having a pride in history. You feel me? And uplifting our history. Not uplifting the things that is wrong with us. If Crips and Bloods in history is negative, we can't uplift the negative because it's like we uplifted it in its current form. Unless we change the form, then we can't uplift it. This is why we should understand history and understand what happened, what happens to in other times, in other people when similar things happen like that, right? When you go read any civilization and find that when they say nothing new under the sun, that things like this have happened before. But when you can't step outside of your ego, then it's hard to relate. It's hard to relate to history. Oh no, what the that used to be a I'm over here looking at this little situation. But anyway, it's hard to relate. Then you wanna how does that even make sense? That don't make sense. I could show you how it makes sense. Because this thing and this happened in history before, and it's similar to this, and this. That ain't the same. I did not say the same. I said similar. Similar and same, two different words. And as a man, right? If I say, you know what, I really did. I got to learn how to explain myself better. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go and start actually learn words, listening to debates, listening to people speak to help me communicate. And that's actually what I start doing, right? And I start to realize that when I go listen to other speakers, like the people that's best speak, that's eloquent, like feel me, as great orators. Orators are the ones, even in music, that we embrace. We embrace our orators, those that really could explain it, and you embrace, you hug it, and but at the same time, when they start making you feel accountable and knowing you doing something wrong, oh man, that shit don't feel good. And it's crazy that these cats don't feel good about their history, but still want to embrace it and love it and don't feel good about it. History is a motherfucker. And if they was on here, and you would hear them talk, you'll see. But embracing black history, African history, because African history is world history. It's Africans around the world. And black history is a branch of African history. Even historically, what we call a race, homie, people don't even know what a race is. That's a social construct. Race is okay, cool, got you. It's a social construct. The fact that the social construct exists, where's your social construct for you? Y'all don't have a social construct. Why? Everything on this planet has a name. Everything known on this planet has a name. Different types of blades of grass have a name. Different trees have a name. Different fruits have a name. Different insects have a name. Different microbes have names. Parts of the microbe have names. Like you feel me? But then we get to if you go get a car, every part on the car has a name. Take it apart. Every part has a name. The little plastic piece on the end of your shoelace has a name. The parts of the toothbrush has a name. But then, if we actually go into the history of names, that'll also teach us a lot. Things have names. Boy, history is very important. Very important. I didn't look. I was gangbanging in school. Man, nobody cared if Christopher Columbus discovered America. I didn't like history, but they only told me about white history. Talking about our forefathers. Man, that ain't my forefather. I'm fucking Abraham Lincoln,
George Washington. Who was these men? I don't care nothing about these people. You feel me? As I got older, I started to care about what they did. Still feel how I do about them. I don't care about George Washington and Christopher Columbus discovered America. Man, what? You learn the real. He didn't even come to mainland America, right? When you learn in the real, he didn't discover nothing. All of a sudden, all this discovery, that's called stealing in today's world. Matter of fact, back then it was too. So when we start looking at this thing and really going through it, you got to learn it for yourself to be able to teach your children. So I'm dropping these jewels to my babies. Understand this. Boom. Look at this. Bam. Look at this. And not just because I say so. Because I could go outside of my brain and find this same information. You got to be able to go outside of your brain. If it's only in your brain and nowhere else in the world you can find what you're thinking. It's not saying that your thoughts can't be true. You can't invent something and bring something into the cosmos. But if you feel Harriet Tubman didn't do anything good for the community, you the only one feel that. Okay, cool. Well, you feel that. Explain why you say that. And if you can't explain it, just because I said so, that's null and void. Because if I could bring up something, well, this is a positive effect of Harriet Tubman movement. Null and void. And don't be intimidated because somebody know history better than you. Be proud. We gotta stop being player haters and start being player helpers, try to help a player. Like, be proud. Encourage those that know history to learn it and to get better at it. I'm gonna call them out. Spook and School, both of them. Oh, you think you smart? Think you smart? Let me go ahead and take this.